Praise to you, Isis, the Great One, the Mother of Horus, Lady of Heaven, Mistress and Queen of the Gods. You are the first royal spouse of Osiris, the supreme overseer of the golden ones in the temples, the eldest son, firstborn of Geb. Praise to you, Isis, the Great One, the Mother of Horus, Lady of Heaven, Mistress and Queen of the Gods. You are the first royal spouse of Osiris, the bull, the lion who overthrows all his enemies, the Lord and ruler of eternity. Praise to you, Isis, the Great One, God's Mother, Lady of Heaven, Mistress and Queen of the Gods. You are the first royal spouse of Osiris, the Eternal One, rejuvenating himself, who raised up eternity. You are with him in the temple. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Courtney. Come join us as we take a trip back in the past at the Time Travelers Club. So this time, we are talking about perhaps one of the most iconic figures to come out of ancient Egypt mythology. Ever since Greece and Rome encountered the Egyptians, the Western world has been fascinated, inspired, and mystified by one particular goddess in particular. This would, of course, be Isis. No, not that Isis. That is just an unfortunate coincidence. No, this Isis was something quite older, and her influence can be found well beyond her role as an ancient Egyptian goddess in surprising ways. In ancient Egypt mythology, she is known as a goddess of magic, healing, and motherhood. She is often depicted with a throne upon her head or wearing the most sacred of the symbols, the sun disk. She is closely associated with both life and death and is a protector of both living and dead. She transcends these two aspects and connects them. Unlike most mythology across the world where women have always taken a passive role, she instead is arguably the main protagonist in possibly the most well-known myth to come out of ancient Egypt. And that is the myth that we will be discussing today, because not only is it just a wonderful story to tell, but it gleans insight not only to her nature as a goddess, but also how Egyptian society functioned. We can garner their death practices, their relationship with both life and death, and how they viewed women all from this story. The origin myth of the goddess Isis is deeply intertwined with the creation myths of ancient Egypt, particularly those centered around the Heliopolitan Ennead.
Isis is typically described as the daughter of Geb, a god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the sky. She is one of 4 siblings, born as the last generation of the Ennead. Her siblings are Osiris, her elder brother, who also became her husband and the first king of Egypt. Because again, guys, this is ancient times, wholesome as it is. There's a lot of brother and sister loving. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it twisted. That's still happening. But that's okay. Then there's Set, another brother, the god of chaos, deserts, and storms. And Nephthys. This is where I'm going to trip. Nephthys.
Nephthys.
Nephthys. Sister, who also became Set's wife. In this lineage, Isis is a grandchild of the creator god Atum, or Ra, establishing her as a fundamental deity within the Egyptian pantheon from its earliest stages. While her birth itself isn't elaborated on in the same dramatic fashion as some other creation events, Dionysus, her role, no one's lighting on fire, no one's being ripped to shreds. It's pretty boring. It's like, and Geb and Newt loved each other very much, and then they had their kids.
And you know what? It's refreshing. It's refreshing.
It is refreshing. I mean, again, and then those kids married each other. But, like, you know, it's like, no one's eating baby hearts. No one's splitting babies in the nut sacks. there's no golden showers. There's no.
I
It's
mean,
just
it's not controversial,
normal.
which makes it
Right.
controversial in the realm of
Like
deities,
nope.
which is hilarious.
Right. Right. The Greeks were dramatic, but like the Egyptians were like, okay, these guys really loved each other. Their dad tried to separate them, but he couldn't keep them apart. And finally, they had kids together. It's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's just refreshing.
Hmm.
Well, so with that being said, her role in subsequent myths, particularly the Osiris myth, is central in her development and significance. She is often depicted as having been in love with Osiris even within the womb. Gross, but that's okay. Highlighting their destined connection. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Can't be perfect.
No.
It's okay. Her name in Egyptian, Aset, is often translated as Queen of the Throne, which is like literally, like
Hmm.
that's her, like the throne is hers. Like she is the throne itself personified, which is
Absolutely.
therefore reflected in her typical headdress, the hieroglyphic sign for a throne. Some scholars have suggested that she was originally that personification of the throne itself, given its power to make a man into a king and its connection to the pharaoh's mother. Therefore, while her direct birth story is not grand or dramatic, her origin is firmly established as a divine child of earth and sky, setting the stage for her pivotal role and the most enduring and influential of the Egyptian myths, the cycle of Osiris's death and resurrection.
All right. So we've covered the divine birth of Isis, daughter of Geb and Nut, sister to Osiris, Set, and Nephthys. Now things get a little less idyllic family portrait and a lot more ancient Egyptian soap opera with cosmic consequences. What happens next is nothing short of a foundational work for Egyptian mythology, laying the groundwork for kingship,
Mm-hmm.
the afterlife, and the enduring power of love and loyalty. Our story properly kicks off with Osiris taking the throne of Egypt. He is not just a king, he is the benevolent, civilizing force. Think of him as the ultimate good guy. He teaches humanity agriculture, law, writing, and even the arts of civilization, pulling them out of a primeval, barbaric state. Essentially, he's the pharaoh prototype, bringing order, ma'at, to chaos, isfet. And more importantly, he rules alongside his beloved sister and wife, Isis, who is often seen as his perfect complement, wise, magical, and deeply devoted. Their reign is a golden age, a period of prosperity and harmony. Now,
Yeah, and
every
that's a big sorry. I there's a little bit of lag sometimes, so it's not me just trying to like interrupt her. I'm trying to like shoehorn myself in a little bit sometimes when I think there's a gap. But no, I just wanted to point this out. Like that's a big difference between like, the Olympians, right? It's all about the drama. The more
Mhm.
chaos, the better, right? Like they're intentionally causing chaos when there's nothing going on. The Egyptians are quite the opposite. This whole concept of ma'at, which is order and balance and harmony, is above all else what they want.
Mhm.
So, like, it's just an interesting parallel to that, right?
It is, and
Like,
not just that. So Ma'at is also a goddess in her own right. And
that's true too.
as a tiny little aside, the 10 commandments come from the 42 laws of Ma'at. All of them are in
But
there.
yeah, there's a lot of like interesting quirks with this too. Like not
Hmm.
quirks, but like opposites, I guess. Like that I notice, and I don't know what the correlation is there, but so like for example, when you think about like in Greek and later Roman, Eurocentric like mythologies and stuff,
Hmm.
women tend to be what? Earth.
Passive.
Men tend to be sky,
Hmm.
Uranus, Zeus, right? Like the strong daddy figures tend to be Cronus, they tend to be sky. Um, Women like Gaia, Cybele, Artemis, the exception kind of being Hera, but Hera is definitely no Isis, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, women, the strong women anyway, tend to be like really connected with this idea of the earth itself. And yes, Artemis is the goddess of the moon, but it's in that connection with the hunt in the forest and the wild. And when you look at some of her more, like, for example, Artemis of Ephesus, like there's an emphasis on that,
Mm-hmm.
like there more so than the moon part. It's like she's the goddess of the hunt and nature and the wild. Oh yeah, and the moon. Yeah. Like,
Yep.
so I just find that a little bit interesting. Whereas in Egypt, it's Geb. Like Shu is like earth, but like Newt is the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Isis, as we'll talk about a little bit, has more of a connection with sky, and she has wings, whereas Osiris is death and the underworld and fertility, and Geb is the earth itself, like rock and itself. And I find that fascinating.
No,
And also
absolutely.
this role, like of like men bring order, women create chaos in the Greek pantheon, whereas in this, it's almost the opposite. Like you said, Ma'at itself, the concept of order, is a woman. The power behind the throne, which also helps with Ma'at and that security, is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And like men, the Egyptian god of chaos itself is a man.
Yep.
And they need these women in their lives to kind of keep them under fucking control. And like
No, it's all
that
about
job sucks.
balance.
But
No, and
yeah.
that's the thing that I love about the Egyptian mythos is that when you dig into it, they are all in perfect pairings. They really are
Mm-hmm.
all in perfect pairings, even in like the primordial pairings that brought about like the entire world, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are literally the perfect complement to each other. It is not that they are necessarily individualized as, he is this and she is that. It is more so they are this together. Which I love that.
And there's
But that also brings the
yeah.
important of Isis because she is this herself. She is all of this power
Mm-hmm.
herself. What is a king without a throne? What is a
Right.
ruler without a people? Like they are the perfect complement to one another. And that's honestly, I don't think that that can ever be fully I don't think that can ever be fully overstated. Like it is always going to be
Yeah.
understated.
Well, and like the inevitability of this is
Hmm.
interesting, right? Because like when you look at the Gab Newt myth, right?
Hmm.
Like long, we didn't include it because it's kind of short, but the long story is that I guess I agree with him a little bit. Shu, her dad, was like, okay, you're brother and sister. That's gross. No. Um, but the idea of like they are opposites. They're attracted to each other. There's this idea of balance, right? And they
Hmm.
need each other to stay balanced. And he's in the wrong for trying to keep them apart. And it was going to happen either way.
Hmm.
And that's, like I said, really fascinating. Like in the end, it does with a lot of their myths. There's like this idea of like there is some craziness, but it does eventually all work out. Things
Hmm.
have to happen for a reason, and balance will always prevail. And if it doesn't, that's the end of everything.
Yes.
So, unlike
All
the
right.
Greek gods who are just stirring the pot because they think it's funny.
Well, or they're having a beauty contest, that too. But
Yeah, there's which again came from just stirring the pot because they thought it was fun. And a lot of
exactly.
times too, even when you read like the Iliad, it's like starts off with the gods being bored. They're like, God, we need a good war, you know, to entertain
Yeah.
us.
And I
Deep as
mean
fuck,
like
you know?
that's messed up by human morality. That's so messed up by human morality.
Well, they
But
create human
ah.
beings in that
Mhm.
Prometheus myth. They create human beings to entertain them because they
Yep.
were just so bored with watching animals fuck each other and actually be in harmony. And they're like, we need like something else that's flawed a little bit, that like they're dumb and they'll worship us, and like we can fuck with them and it'll be fun.
Pretty much like
Yeah. Like,
kids with a magnifying glass and an ant pile.
yeah, and it's like dark. It's like you literally created people to just for something to fuck with. Like,
Yep.
what the hell? And the Egyptians are not like that at all. Like, I mean,
No.
there's a lot of myths, and there's not really a centralized one. That comes with the Greeks and stuff later, kind of colonizing. This is like you'll hear of Amun, and like and that set. There's a lot of these like sets, right? And over time, because of overlap, some pick up the myth, and they all kind of agree like these all happened, but we're focusing on that.
Mhm.
Like there's not like this, oh, your way's wrong, my way's right kind of situation, but the
No,
Greeks
it's more
needed
of a
that was chaotic
respect.
as shit
Yeah,
for the
it's more of a
Greeks, which is
respect
kind of
for
funny.
each other. That's kind of
Yeah.
what brings balance to it. It's more of a respect of, oh, okay, that's how you believe it? Awesome, cool. And it's not a we're gonna fucking slaughter you
Or
if you
like,
don't
yeah,
believe what I
that also
believe.
fits in with my worldview, so they can both be right.
Exactly.
Oh, like, it's
Exactly.
interesting.
All right. So
So,
back to it. All right. So
mhm.
every good story needs a villain. And in this one, he is a doozy. Set, Osiris's younger brother. Set is the embodiment of all things wild, chaotic, and destructive. He's associated with the desert, storms, and foreign lands, essentially everything outside of the fertile, orderly Nile Valley. And boy, does he have a serious case of sibling rivalry. He is consumed by jealousy over Osiris' successful reign and the love and admiration Osiris garners. Set's plan to usurp the throne is where things get truly devious. He concocts an elaborate scheme, one that involves a beautifully crafted, custom-made chest. And this isn't just any chest. It is a sarcophagus chest, precisely made to fit Osiris's dimensions. He Set hosts a grand banquet, a seemingly celebratory affair, and during the festivities he unveils this magnificent chest, declaring that whomever fits perfectly inside will receive it as a gift. One by one, the guests try their luck, but none are a perfect fit. Then, unsuspecting and perhaps a little too trusting, Osiris steps inside. And guess what? It's a perfect fit. But before he can even congratulate himself, Set and his co-conspirators, often identified as the 72 evil deities or followers of Set, slam the lid shut, seal it with molten lead, and then, in a truly horrific act, cast the sealed chest into the Nile River. This act is an ultimate betrayal, the disruption of cosmic order. Osiris, the bringer of civilization and life, is murdered and cast away, and the Golden Age ends abruptly. So I want to also state the Nile is a goddess in herself as well. And the fact that,
Our God, it's
yeah,
weird. Sometimes it's a dude,
yeah,
and he's a
either
fat guy
way,
with rolls.
yes, but
Yeah.
it is both, or either. Really, it depends on the perspective of the person that's looking at it. But the fact that they would
Hmm.
discard order and prosperity and civilization and life inside of the Nile, which the Nile, it gives and it taketh away.
Hmm.
For sure. The Nile gives and it taketh away. They thrived on the seasonal bringings of the Nile, but
Hmm.
literally destroying it, destroying civilization and prosperity with the Nile is huge.
Well, something else that I noticed too that's kind of interesting, right, is that even though Set's the bad guy, he still has a hand in how life happened. Like it's like an
Hmm.
origin story for this particular thing. For example, um, the chest, right. This is clearly the idea of like this is where the idea of sarcophagus came from, like where coffins came from, and like why they have to fit a certain way. Indirectly, he created that tradition.
Hmm.
The other is the festival, right? So pharaohs typically had these it's usually about every 30 years they would have these festivals that celebrated their rule and like the prosperity of the land and things like that. Um, and like this is kind of like the origin myth of that too. So it's interesting that like even he had a role in creating something that people would be very familiar with. Um, and while he's a very destructive force, there's always this undercurrent of like there's a reason these things happen,
Yes.
you know. So I find that fascinating. But with that being said, this isn't the end of the story, of course, not by a long shot. This is where Isis truly shines. Her devotion to Osiris is legendary and forms the core of her identity as a powerful magician and a grief-stricken yet determined mother and wife. We'll say wife in this case. She's not technically a mom yet.
Hmm.
Upon learning of her husband's death, Isis plunged into unimaginable sorrow. She's been in love with him since the womb, guys. I mean, this is tough.
This is her
He
everything.
seemed like her Adonis. He was perfect.
Hmm.
She embarks on a desperate quest to find his body, as you do, because that's pretty messed up.
Yep.
Um, Search takes her far and wide. The chest, carried by the currents of the Nile, eventually drifts out to the Mediterranean Sea and washes upon the shore of a foreign land of Byblos, aka modern-day Lebanon. There, a magnificent tamarisk tree grows around it, completely enveloping the chest and, and Osiris's body. The tree grows so large and beautiful that the local king, Melkander, and his queen, Asarti, decided to cut it down and use it as a pillar to support the roof of their palace. Isis, guided by her divine intuition and perhaps a bit of help from some friendly deities, eventually traces the chest to Byblos, disguising herself as an old woman, as you do in any of these stories. It's giving me Beauty and the Beast vibes a little bit, but a little
A little
dark
bit.
because it's like the fairies like looking for her dead husband. Like, hey, do you have a
Yeah.
corpse in your pillar? Which this so she sits by a well, weeping. Her sorrow attracts the attention of the queen's handmaidens, and eventually Isis is brought to the palace to be a nursemaid to the queen's son. During her time in the palace, Isis reveals her true and magical nature. She attempts to immortalize the prince by placing him in a fire, an act of divine magic that frightens the queen. Now, I'm going to stop for just a second here to point out a couple things. A, isn't this again? It's nice women being nice to other women, just in general. It's like the handmaidens see this old lady crying, and then the queen takes Isis in. You know, she's not jealous or anything or worried about what her husband thinks. Like she's like, hey, you know, come on, no, we need to help you out. You know, um, the other thing is this part about the prince. I can tell you right now is a direct correlation with a Greek myth.
Hmm.
That is when Demeter, who was also in mourning after losing her daughter, right? She's wandering around, settles on this temple, disguised as an old lady, and the handmaidens find her, and the queen takes her in, and out of gratitude, she kind of falls in love with this little baby boy that she's been a wet nurse to, and tries to do literally the same exact thing. And it also, I guess justifiably so, freaks the queen out in both stories. What does this mean? I would dare say a lot. This is probably a Greek correlation
Hmm.
because, like I said, later on, Greeks kind of had to make their tie-in. I'm not saying that there wasn't something similar, like like she did some sort of thing that was magical or something like that, but like it's literally blow by blow. I
Hmm.
just kind of find that weird. Um,
No, it's the
in the
overlapping of an
story, no
archetype.
news on what happens to the kid. Um, in the Greek version, Demeter gets quite upset. It's a whole thing. But in this particular story, that's not the main point. So, realizing her true identity, the queen asks Isis what she desires. Isis, ever focused on her quest, mind you, other than the fact that she just tried to like raise this baby and make him immortal, that seemed a little ADHD of you, hun, but that's okay. Reveals her purpose and requests the beautiful pillar in the palace. Once granted, the pillar, Isis carefully extracts the chest containing Osiris's body. She then sets sail back to Egypt, filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Her plan is to perform the necessary funerary rites and to bring Osiris back to life, at least long enough to conceive their child. And so this is where we get the symbol of there's that a specific like pillar symbol you see a lot, and it's in the embalming process.
Mm-hmm.
This is the origin story of that, because
Yep.
you'd be like, otherwise, what is this random pillar doing? You
Yep.
know, like what is this? That's what this represents.
Yes. So there was still more tragedy to come for poor Isis. While Isis temporarily hides Osiris's body in the swamps of the Nile Delta, Set, always vigilant and always malevolent, discovers it during a hunting trip. In a fit of rage and a desire to utterly destroy his brother, Set dismembers Osiris's body into 14, or sometimes 16, or 42, depending on the tradition, pieces, and scatters them throughout Egypt. This act is seen as even more horrific than the initial murder, as it prevents proper burial and threatens to deny Osiris entry into the afterlife. And so, Isis's quest takes on an even more epic and poignant dimension. She, along with her sister Nephthys, who despite being Set's wife, is loyal to Isis and Osiris. She's literally sitting there going, husband, you fucked up. What the fuck? Why? Why?
Why? Like, I don't even care. Like, we're gods and goddesses. Like, why do you even want to be king? You're not even good at it. Like,
Exactly.
we were fine.
We were good. Why'd you have to fuck it up? Stop fucking it up. So, with Isis and Nephthys, they embark on a painstaking journey across all of Egypt. And Egypt is a huge fucking area. It's gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
They tirelessly search for every single piece of Osiris's body. This arduous task highlights Isis's immense power, her unwavering determination, and her profound love. Through her
How
magical
pissed would you be,
ability.
though? Like, you spent all this time
Yeah,
trying to find, like, the body, and then this fucker just made you pretty much have to do it all over again.
absolutely.
Like, I'd be so
Absolutely.
pissed.
No, and I would be throwing things that are very pointy
Yeah,
at people's heads.
yeah. She's a better person than I am.
She's so much better person than I am because I would be
Like,
in a
well, he's gonna do
rage.
it again.
I would be throwing the biggest of bitch fits. Like, no. So, through her magical abilities, Isis manages to find and reassemble almost all of the pieces. There's one crucial exception, an admittedly important part, Osiris's phallus, which had been swallowed by a fish.
This is often identified, fun fact, as the Oxyrhynchus fish, which would become taboo for Egyptians to eat if you're curious. Just fun little
I
facts.
mean, they don't want to eat that specific kind of fish. That's the fish that ate Osiris's penis. Don't eat that fish.
Yeah, it's the dick
Don't.
fish. No one wants a dick fish.
No one wants a dick fish. So, however, she was undeterred, and Isis uses her magic to fashion a beautiful, long, girthy, sparkly, golden dong for him to replace it with.
Nice.
I mean, she made what she wanted. You know what?
I
don't blame
do you
her.
think she like improved it a little bit? Like, no, it was always that big, babe.
Absolutely. So with all the pieces gathered and one particularly important one magically replaced, Isis performs a truly extraordinary act. She uses her powerful magic, aided by the incantations of Thoth, god of wisdom and magic, and the embalming skills of Anubis, god of embalming. This is often described as the very first mummification. transforming Osiris's perishable body into an eternal and divine form. Once the body is mummified and made eternal, Isis performs her ultimate magic act. She often transforms herself into a kite, a bird of prey, hovering above Osiris's inert body. As she hovers, she flaps her wings, creating a wind of life or divine breath that descends upon the mummy. Through this magical insufflation, and through her divine power over life and fertility, she conceives their son, Horus. This is a miraculous conception, outside, shall we say, any of the conventional means, highlighting Isis's unique power as a goddess of creation and life-giving. It also emphasizes the importance of Horus's birth as a divine act, ensuring the continuation of the legitimate lineage. So Set ain't got no place here. There's an Osiris baby. Set ain't got no claim to the throne. Does it?
It also, I mean, dark and maybe a little messed up on my part. Maybe it's the first. It's weird that the first blowy created a kid. You know, like wind of life, breath,
Yeah.
divine breath.
I mean, is that where we get the term blowjob? I don't know. Maybe.
No. Well, because there's a lot of like representations. Like to be fair, like the kite one's really popular in the imagery there, but like the other, like something the act of the priest literally did was there was this special tool that they used to like hold open the mouth to give breath and blow into.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you see that image as well. So I find that it's literally a blowjob, like to bring him back to life. You know?
Yes, and you know we can make the jokes all that we want, but in magical practices all over the world, you have the breath of life being described. You have prana, you have chi, you have just energy of all sorts, and this is exactly what it is. So whatever you want to call it, she had the ability to call it forth and bring him back to life in a sense.
Yeah, and again, you know, we kind of hinted this. It's called the like Osiris resurrection myth, right? But have you guys noticed? Really, he's not the main character here at all.
No,
like
he dies quickly.
He was a good person, but like the action is her. The character development is her. Like he's just like a prop, sort of.
Almost.
You know? Almost, yeah. But like, you know, like
but he is pivotal.
Be able to do anything. Yes, he's pivotal, but like she's the one problem solving here. He's the one who was dumb enough to get in the damn box. But like he's helpless without her. She had to go find him, had to go find him again, had to fix the whole erectile dysfunction issue.
Yep.
Help make this damn baby. You know, like she's the one here. He is like static. She's the dynamic one here. She's the hero of the story. And I find that fascinating.
So, the resurrection of Osiris is not a return to his earthly throne. Instead, he becomes the lord of the Duat, the underworld. He is transformed from a living king to a divine ruler of the dead, presiding over the judgment of souls and embodying the promise of eternal life for those who follow his path. He is the first to achieve this perfected state after death, and thus he becomes the model for all deceased Egyptians. His return is not to the world of the living, but to a new realm of existence, a place of spiritual authority and renewal. Now, with Horus conceived, Isis faces a new challenge, protecting her vulnerable son from Set. She chooses the remote, reedy swamps of the Nile Delta, often specifically identified as Chemis, or their hiding place. Here, she lives as a fugitive, raising Horus in secrecy and under constant threat. Isis, the ultimate protective mother, uses her magic not for grand cosmic battles, but for the immediate practical needs of her child. Horus is frequently bitten by venomous creatures, often scorpions sent by Set, and Isis uses her powerful incantations to heal him, drawing out the poison. These healing acts cemented her reputation as a supreme healing goddess and the source of many Egyptian medicinal spells.
Exactly. And this period of hiding highlights Isis's immense sacrifices, her unwavering determination, and her profound maternal love. It solidifies Horus's legitimacy as the future king by ensuring his survival against all odds. The Isis lactans motif becomes a powerful symbol of the divine motherhood, nourishment, protection that resonates deeply throughout Egyptian history. So, from a divine birth, we spiral into a tale of betrayal, murder, relentless searching, and miraculous resurrection and conception. The myth of Osiris and Isis isn't just a story. It's a profound narrative that shapes Egyptian religious beliefs, political ideologies, and even the very concept of life, death, and rebirth. It's a powerful testament to the enduring power of love, loyalty, and the triumph of order over chaos, even in the face of unspeakable tragedy. And it sets the stage for the next great chapter, the epic struggle between Horus and Set for the rightful kingship of Egypt. This epic saga is not just ancient history. It's a timeless tale of good versus evil, love versus hate, and the enduring power of family. I also just want to take a moment to recognize another role that Isis is playing, and I just really find interesting. If you know anything about Egyptian mythology, culture, history, is that, of course, all of this myth is supposed to be the source of why Egyptians mummified and embalmed their dead. But it's also doing another thing. Osiris cannot be brought back to the world of the living, and Isis cannot follow him there because she has her own child now and is needed in the world of the living. In this scene, we see that while she loves her husband, she must let him go. She will continue to celebrate him, honor him, and love him, but the nature of their relationship has changed. In many mythos regarding dead and death, this would be a bad thing, like, with the Orpheus and, and all of those, like
Yep.
Orpheus, Demeter. It's tragic. It's
Hmm.
sad. And they're desperate to bring them back to them. Um, but this is different. And
It is.
we do not see Isis grieving, not because she's cold or heartless, but she knows that her husband has gone to a better place. In both, oh, sorry, but yeah, I mean, he's gone
Yeah,
to a better place,
he has,
and
and
that's
and
healthy.
this honestly highlights just how integral she is into the cyclical nature of life. She is not just, okay, I am going to try and keep everything at homeostasis where this is where we're getting back to. It's understanding that change must happen and that is
Yeah,
okay.
and the other thing too is like I think a lot of times, like even today, you'll still like the Egyptians were obsessed with death. And I'd rather think it's not that they were obsessed with death. It's that we, from a Western lens, kind of have an unhealthy relationship with death.
We
It's
do.
something to be avoided. It's scary. It's bad. It's tragic. It's sad. And those are feelings I also feel. Don't get me wrong. Like I mean, like it's for it. The projection's real. But rather than saying, oh, well, they were obsessed with death, it's that they had a healthy relationship with it.
Hmm.
And that, like, yes, there was preparation and celebration, but like an appreciation. And like that's healthy.
It is.
Like it's not that they don't miss people, they do, but like it allowed them to continue on and not worry. I think that's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is. And, as Americans specifically, because all over the world there are different death practices. And this is actually something that
Hmm.
I wanted to get into because I do want to become a death doula eventually, um, which is kind of easing people into that process. But we are so far removed from the death process. We literally commodified it. We used to
Hmm.
clean our corpses and as an act of, or as like a final act of grace and giving and loving and appreciation, we would be the ones that did that. And all of a sudden, it is commodified and we give them to strangers and we pump them full
Like
of
that
chemicals that are
become
not needed. And we're so far removed from all of it. So it's not
well,
necessarily that they were like trying to their embalming and our embalming are for two different purposes, like two very different
mhm.
purposes.
Well, and the thing is too is like think about how death in general is kind of a taboo in if itself is taboo.
Yeah,
Not just the subject, because that's also kind of like no one wants and no one wants to talk about it. Even if someone's grieving, it's like they really don't want to be around it. Um, think about like too like bereavement, quote unquote. You have a
mm-hmm.
fixed amount of time you're allowed to feel sad like, before you have to get
Yes.
over it and go to
Yeah,
work. And like the idea of like touching a corpse is scary. Like, and I mean, I admit I would be very also uncomfortable with it, but that's because of the environment I was raised in, right?
absolutely.
It just, it's like, it's not that they were obsessed. It's they had, if anything, we're the ones kind of with the problem because it's gonna happen and we just don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to acknowledge the feelings that come with it. We don't want to acknowledge that it happens. Um, like we want to sanitize it, make it go away as soon as possible.
Yeah, we want to
It's not that
ignore
death
it
was tragic.
until it's
Unnecessary
in
death
our
was,
face.
yeah, and that's not to say they were all like. It's like when you say obsessed with death, it's almost like they wanted to die. That's not it at all. Like especially unnecessary death, they're like, no, they're not throwing their lives away. They appreciate the life they have, you know. So, like with that being said, they would be horrified at the murders and school shootings and everything that happens here. It's unnecessary death.
Hmm.
But like at the same time, if someone's had a really long life, and
They would
it's
celebrate it.
them moving on. And right, they're moving on because you're going on to something better now, even
Absolutely.
better.
So,
And like it's really interesting too because even have prosthetics
hmm,
for their dead.
yes.
Like this idea that like you'll need and like that prosthetics can be literally your new leg. You are going to be whole in the afterlife, even if you weren't here. I just think it's beautiful.
Yes. It is. It really is. And I think it's a lot healthier than what we've got. But
Hmm.
in both the Greek and Roman worlds, death is something to be feared. The afterlife, with the exception of the very few and only later in their myths, is for the most part at best dreary and at worst horrendous. Here Isis stands as an example to the honorable spouse. Don't want to say wife because there are plenty of examples where there's also the other way around where a widower mourns his late wife in the same kind of honor and respect. It's a beautiful sentiment, and honestly, probably one of the healthier ways to deal with death that you can see coming out of the ancient world. Many documentaries will say the Egyptians were obsessed with death, and I do not believe that they were obsessed. Rather, they accepted and celebrated its natural course. The alternative is to live a life in constant fear of it. And the ancient Egyptians did not crave death, but they were not afraid of it either. It is though the story of Isis that we really see this.
So let's zoom in on that critical period when Isis goes into hiding with her young son Horus. After all, the drama of Osiris's murder and the miraculous but temporary resurrection and conception, knows she can't just hang around. Set, her psycho brother slash brother-in-law, is still out there, and he's not about to let Osiris's heir grow up and challenge him. So what's a divine, super powerful, but also incredibly vulnerable single mom to do?
So Isis, with baby Horus in tow, makes a break for it. She heads straight for the most remote, least hospitable, and therefore safest place that she can find in Egypt, the dense, reedy swamps of the Nile Delta. Think of it as ancient Egypt's version of a witness protection program, but way more rustic. This area, often mythically called Chemis or Akabidi, is a maze of thick papyrus reeds, muddy channels, and hidden pools. It's wild, untamed, and perfectly suited for someone trying to disappear from a vengeful god. Life here is no walk in the park. Isis and Horus aren't living it up in a divine mansion. They're fugitives, constantly on the move, constantly hidden. Because at this point, Set is in control. Set is technically on
Mhm.
the metaphorical throne because she is the throne, right? But Set is on the
Right.
throne in his own sense. So they don't necessarily have the claim to the throne at present, even though Horus
Mhm.
is the rightful heir. So they're hiding. Even their country technically would be against them at this point because of who is ruling, if we think about it in more human terms.
Yeah. Modern
So
terms even.
absolutely. Absolutely. So Isis is often depicted as pretty humble during this time, relying on her wits and the kindness of, well, almost no one because they're in the middle of nowhere. This really drives home the immense sacrifices that she is making for her kid. She's a queen, a goddess, but here she's just a mother struggling to survive. And that's where we leave the story for now, with mother and child fleeing for their lives as refugees, escaping the wrath of a tyrant. How will they survive? And is it possible for them to come back from this? Tune in next time to find out.
Now, as you know, we are a new podcast and we're always looking to please the dark magic that is the algorithm. So wherever you're listening to this, whether it be Spotify, Apple, iHeart, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, if you like us, take time to give us a positive review. It goes a long way for us.
We will also be starting a Patreon as soon as we have enough content in the backlog. There you can hear episodes of topics outside of the main purview of the main podcast. We'll create videos, do Q&As, sell merch, and in general, just get up to hijinks, so keep your eye out for that.
If you have any ideas, comments, or just want to say hi, you can reach us at timetravelersclubpodcast@gmail.com. We love it when people say hi. And as always, thanks for listening. For now.
Bye.